Master Kenobi, you disappoint me. Yoda holds you in such high esteem.
Most likely known these days for roles such as that one, Count Dooku from Star Wars, and Saruman the White from Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, plus many, many more, including Dracula. But this man wasn't only an actor. Join us this week as we explore the extraordinary life of Sir Christopher Lee. Is that what you knew it was, Sean?
Yes.
I love that the first thing that we're going to hear in this episode is the producer that everyone's been begging for. You don't know what to say, do you?
Hey, boys!
Hello, boy.
Welcome to another episode of The Cheeky Tales.
This week
The
you
Cheeky
have
Tales or just Cheeky Tales?
John telling the story,
I am here to tell you a man's story.
Aaron doing the listening and questions, I guess, and Sean is back as producer.
I am indeed.
Welcome back.
Fact checker
Sean.
extraordinaire. Although, judging by the intro, I'm more excited to just hear about it. I don't even care. I don't even care about facts. Who
Maybe
cares?
I'll get
Nice.
my phone out and I'll be the producer.
Nice.
I don't even, this man is too cool to not to worry about
All right,
facts.
sounds like Sean knows what I'm going to get into.
I also brought the beer.
Did
Yeah,
bring
we
the
have
beer.
beer again this week.
Yes, a beer that none of
Celtic
us.
Red.
So what's happened since our last recording? It's been, nearly 4 weeks? A lot of stuff's happened, hasn't it? We've had a Super Bowl.
Yeah, we had the Super Bowl,
We
didn't
had
we?
an AFC and NFC championship,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
a Super Bowl.
We're massive NFL fans between the three of us.
Yes.
What else has happened? I can't think of anything else major.
I did regional Australia, did a tour for
Oh,
work.
yes.
That was fun.
You were all over the place. I think the earthquakes in Turkey happened,
Yep.
which is still ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
Man, a lot happened in the 4 weeks since we recorded.
Mm. Anyway, how are we all? We all good?
Good.
Good. Staked up.
Good to hear.
Hydrated.
Good to hear.
So, what is this? You both know about this. I don't.
Well, this is the story of actor Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee.
Do you know of this actor boy? Sean knows of him.
Well, I know Count Dooku.
Do you?
Yep. I know
Saruman the White?
Dracula.
Or have you seen the movies that he would have
You
starred
know
as
I have.
Dracula?
Actually, that is the biggest news since
You've
we
seen
last
movies?
recorded. I have now seen Titanic.
Oh, really?
I
Oh,
saw
that's
it.
right. Yeah.
I saw it on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, nice. 3.5 hours of your life you won't get back.
Oh, it was so good. I frothed that movie.
Yeah, nice.
Watching it and just being like, I've researched all this
Yeah,
stuff.
cool.
This is accurate.
Yeah, is that why you liked it so much?
Probably.
Do you reckon you would have liked it less had you not done all that research for the podcast?
Maybe, yeah. I think knowing as much as I did made it better.
Yeah, okay.
But that is a fantastic movie. And it's been re-released in 3D. Definitely worth the 3D.
No,
Yeah, nice.
surely not.
Oh, speaking of Titanic and person who directed Titanic, James Cameron, he has another movie over $1 billion.
Here we go.
Yep. That's happened in the last 4
That
weeks.
has
Yeah,
happened in
sure.
the last 4 weeks.
It's made a ton of money. I still don't know anyone that's seen it. No one I know has
Have
seen
you seen it, Sean?
I haven't had time.
No, I haven't seen it
nobody
either.
cares. Nobody cares.
I
want to see it.
I want to see it very much. I just don't have a lot of time.
Nobody cares.
currently grossed $2.25 billion.
But who
Is it
are
number
these
3?
people?
Hey?
Is it number 3 on the list now of all-time grossing? I think it is.
Ooh.
Has it gone over the first Avatar?
I believe so.
Like, who are these people seeing it? I don't know anyone that's seen it. Hit us up on @CheekyTalesPod on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter if you've seen
How
it. 'cause
many-
I don't know anyone.
How many does James Cameron have in the top 5?
How
I
many
think
does
it's 3.
James Cameron?
Yeah, he does have a lot. Let's see.
James Cameron.
A worldwide opening of 441.7 million. It opened as the 11th biggest selling movie of all time.
Did Puss in
And the
Boots beat it?
third largest of the COVID-19 pandemic era, behind Spider-Man, No Way Home, and Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. IMAX accounted for 48.8 million, the second highest global weekend ever for a film released in IMAX cinemas. It is the highest grossing film of 2022 and the third highest grossing film of all time, and the biggest grossing film of the pandemic era. It's the fourth film to reach $1 billion milestone in the pandemic era after Spider-Man, Top Gun Maverick, Jurassic World Domination, as well as the sixth fastest overall to reach the milestone in just 14 days. It grossed $2 billion in January 2022, becoming the first film in the pandemic era and the sixth in history to reach that milestone at all. It It is also the second fastest to gross $2 billion, reaching that milestone in 40 days.
And still, I don't know a single person that's seen it.
Yeah, I don't know anyone that's seen it either. But I do want to see it.
List of highest grossing films of all time.
Anyway, let's move on from that topic, which could get very heated very quickly.
3 of the 4 highest grossing films.
There you go. 3
With
of the
James
top 5.
Cameron.
Which
is it
are
Avatar 1, Avatar 2.
2 and Titanic.
And Titanic.
Titanic's still up there.
Yeah,
And so it should be. What
And then
an
the other one
iconic
would
piece
be
of cinema.
Infinity War.
Endgame
Oh,
is...
sorry, yeah, Endgame.
So Avatar, the first movie, is
what I meant.
at number 1 at worldwide gross of $2,922,917,914.
Yeah, just round up to the nearest billion.
I can't. It's there. I have to read it. Avengers Endgame at $2,797,000,000 and so on. And then Avatar: The Way of Water is at $2.25 billion. Titanic $2.24 billion.
It should be number 1.
Star Wars: The Force Awakens is at $2,068,000,000. Then Infinity War is below Star Wars at number 4.
Right.
So he's got
3 in the top 5.
3 in the top 4.
Yes, 3 in the top 4.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yep.
Always bank on James Cameron.
Take that, Steven Spielberg, you bum.
Take that, James Gunn.
Meatloaf said 2 out of 3 ain't bad, but I tell you what, 3 out of 4 is
even
better.
yeah.
That's really
Tell you what, take that, Michael Bay.
Anyway, with all this movie talk,
fuck Michael Bay. He
um,
ruined Transformers.
Take that, M. Night Shyamalan.
are you just naming directors now?
Yeah.
Okay. Peter Jackson.
Take that, Heston. No.
Heston Blumenthal?
What? Who? What has he directed? I don't know who that is.
Heston Blumenthal's
He's a
a
chef.
chef.
Oh, okay. Okay. Anyway, though the list is very, very long, we're going to leave Christopher Lee's acting till a little later on.
Okay.
First, I want to explore his life outside of acting, starting with Christopher Frank Cardini Lee was born on May 27th, 1922 in London, England, of course, to parents Geoffrey Lee and Countess Estelle Marie.
Really glad you clarified England.
I got it. No, I clarified London. Thanks for listening. No, I did clarify England. Never mind. Sorry.
Are you
Thanks
listening?
for speaking. So, his mother, Countess Estelle Marie, whose maiden name was Caradini di Sarzeno.
Okay.
So, his dad, Jeff, was a...
Jeff.
My name Jeff. Was a lieutenant.
Boo.
Wasn't that in your soundboard?
Actually, it was in my soundboard.
So, his dad, Jeff, was a lieutenant colonel of the 60th King's Royal Rifle Corps who fought in the Boer War and the First World War. His mother is described as an Edwardian beauty who apparently had a lot of paintings done of her and sculptures too.
Yeah.
So,
Paint me like one of your French girls.
that's what I was going to bring up about Titanic, but we've moved on.
I haven't.
I was just going to say, I still haven't seen Titanic, the film, but I've seen a lot of the memes lately where it's like Arnie Schwarzenegger is the chick.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like they've deep faked him and he's like, look at my boobies, Jay. It's really funny. Speaking of his mother, on his mother's side, there's a bit of a link to Australia. Lee's great-grandmother was an English-born opera singer, Marie Cardini. She was brought to Tasmania.
Carandini.
Carandini, sorry, thank you. Carandini. She was brought to Tasmania when she was 7 years old and her first performance was in Hobart.
Wait, is this bloke Australian?
No.
Oh.
But his great-grandmother spent a lot of time in Australia, as I'm about to cover.
Okay.
She lived and performed in Australia nearly her whole life and had a farewell concert in 1892 before leaving for England, where she passed away 2 years later.
Really?
So, just a little bit of an Aussie connection to the man of the moment, Christopher Lee.
Yeah, that's right. She was an English-born
Yep.
opera singer that was in Australia, and then she married into...
So she spent about 85 years in Australia.
Yeah, and then she married into the Carandini.
85 years.
Yeah.
Touring around, did a lot of concerts in Sydney, Melbourne, stuff like that. She was apparently a very well-known Australian opera singer. It's also said that Lee, I'm going to refer to him as Lee from now on because Christopher Lee is just too long to say. Lee was a descendant of Emperor Charlemagne of the Holy Roman Empire and was related to Robert E. Lee, the Confederate general.
Ah, there you go. Why are all famous people related?
To other famous people.
Yeah, like why is that a thing?
Aristocracy, nobility, same reason.
Or the Illuminati?
No, it's just keep it all within the bloodline. I don't know.
But like it's across industries. Like it's so wild.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The class system, the traditional class system, not the version we have now.
Like on planes. Nah, I'm gammon.
Trains.
So Lee's parents separated. Trains. Lee's parents separated when he was 4 years old, and 2 years later they divorced. During this time, his mother took him and his sister to Wengen. Is it Wengen in Switzerland? That's how
Pronunciation of
It's probably Venyan.
it's Vennen.
Yep. Where he would play his very first role as Rumpelstiltskin.
Nice. Good
Wengen.
start.
Wengen.
Venga boys.
A few years later, they would return to England, and his mother would marry Harcourt George St. Croix, a banker.
Okay.
St. Croix.
St. Croix, is it? Croix,
Yeah,
is
St.
it?
Croix.
Thank you. St. Croix Rose. He was a banker and uncle to one Ian Fleming.
Ian
Do you recognise that name, boy?
Ian Fleming. I do recognize the name Ian Fleming.
He is the author of James Bond novels.
Yes.
So that made Christopher Lee and Ian Fleming step cousins.
Dope.
At some point, the family
What?
moved to Fulham.
Someone has to say it.
What?
What are you doing, step cousin?
Oh,
Oh, nah.
not step
Nah.
bro. What are you doing?
I'm making it worse.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, step cousins would be better. Anyway, moving on. At some point, the
Oh,
family
no.
moved to Fulham.
That's got to get cut.
At some point, the family moved to Fulham, and it was here that one night he was introduced to Prince Yusupov.
Prince Felix
Do you,
Are you right?
do you remember when,
Alexevich.
do you remember when that ship was stuck in the Suez Canal?
Yes.
There was
The
a
meme.
meme that was like, "What are you doing, step ship?" I'm
Oh, now
stuck.
you can't cut it.
I did see that. Uncut.
Now it's uncut.
Oh,
You've made it relevant. So yeah, it was one night here he was introduced to Prince Yusupov
Yep.
and Grand Duke Dmitry Palovich.
Dimitri's such a good name.
Mm-hmm.
These men, boy, were the assassins of Grigory Rasputin.
Oh, Rasputin.
Yes.
That's a story I want to do at some
That's a
point.
great story.
Yeah. Rasputin.
Yes, I
Creepy
read
uncle of,
I read this.
of Russia.
Learning this, I read this and I went, that is an interesting story. And then I immediately told Kirsty about it. What happened to him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, your story now. You can do it.
This would be serendipitous, as Lee would play Rasputin in the 1966 film Rasputin the Mad Monk.
Rah, rah, Rasputin, something, something.
So yeah, it's just very interesting.
Lover of the Russian queen.
That's the one.
Rasputin, lover of the Russian queen.
Russia's greatest love machine.
He's a weird looking dude too.
Yeah.
Quite all right.
Yeah, weird looking dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good disco
Like-
hit.
Yeah.
So
Great
yeah,
disco.
just
kid.
very weird that he just ran into these two people and then
Turns out they were important.
So moving on, Lee had a pretty normal schooling life, apart from apparently being beaten in school frequently. And now I'm assuming this is not from bullies, but as the discipline of the time back
Teachers.
then. Yep. Including once for, and I quote, being beaten too often. So he could get floggings for misbehaving and then got a flogging for getting flogged too much.
Well, that's what you get. Stop being such a little rat.
Well, you say that because he would accept this as punishment for knowingly breaking the rules. He said that. He's like, meh, I broke the rules. It's what I deserved.
Yeah, well.
With a year left in his schooling, his stepfather would go bankrupt,
Oh,
leading to his mother and stepfather separating and forcing Lee to find work. At the time, though, no positions were available as everyone was on summer holidays. So Lee was sent to the French Riviera, where his sister was on holidays with her friends.
Ah,
During the
sounds nice.
during the journey there, Lee would stop in Paris and witness the last public execution by guillotine in
Oh,
France.
Jeez. Okay.
So as a 17-year-old boy,
That
he's
was
just-
like in the 70s, wasn't it?
no,
Was
he was 17, and he was born in 1922, so that would
Oh,
put it
30s.
at 1939.
Yeah. There you go.
17th of June. Yes. Eugene Wiedemann.
So yeah, thank
Say
you. A German
Wiedemann?
man named Eugene Wiedemann. There's no there's no R.
2 N's.
He was a serial killer who killed 6 people, and
Oof.
apart from the first person, they were all shot in the back of the neck. A little bit of reading into it. He had
back
a
of the
thing for
neck.
like shooting them in the back of the neck. Yep,
Ugh. Gross.
both male and female victims. This wasn't just he just liked to shoot them in the back of the neck.
Ugh.
So yeah, that's 17-year-old. He just what's going on today? What's going on today in Paris? Oh, it's the last public execution of
Oh,
by
God,
a
have a look
guillotine.
at that.
There's a guillotine set up. What's going on over here? Lee would remain there for a little while, but with Europe on the brink of war, he would return to London and get work as an office clerk, running errands and taking care of the mail for United States lines.
USL.
As World War II broke out across Europe, Lee enrolled in a military academy and volunteered to fight for the Finnish army against the Soviet Union during the Winter War.
Why the Finnish army?
It was a thing the British people did at the start. There was a bunch of them that actually volunteered to go fight for the Finnish because they were being invaded by the Soviet Union.
Right, okay.
And
It wasn't...
Finland is a socialist state, and it's also in a really, really weird strategic area
Yeah.
that connects a lot of
But wasn't
Western
Britain
Europe.
already against Germany
no.
at this point?
Yeah, but Finland is like Germany wanted to take Finland, so they would send people to join the Finnish army,
Right.
so that the Finnish army would have some backup. Same thing. They sent a whole bunch of people to northern Russia in the Bolshevik Revolution, even though there was nothing there, but it could have been an important port city.
Okay.
Yeah. There's actually a really great book about it. Actually, it might do it as a podcast, so I'm just going to shut up. Australians were there. It was dope. I had a relative there.
He and the other British volunteers were kept away from the actual fighting. They were, however, issued with winter gear and posted on guard duty, albeit a safe distance from the border. After 2 weeks in Finland, they returned home. He returned to work at United States Lines, where he found the work more satisfying, feeling like he was contributing.
Okay.
But in early 1940, he would change companies to Beecham's, again as an office clerk, then a switchboard operator. Beecham's was a pharmaceutical company, I believe.
Just quickly, Sean, maybe don't use the mic to scratch your face.
It made no noise.
It did. I heard you go.
Boo.
I didn't hear it. I was too busy reading. Beecham's would
Cut it out. All right, that's all staying in now.
Beecham's,
Keep it.
Beecham's would move out of London and Lee would join the Home Guard. In winter, his father fell ill with bilateral pneumonia and died on March 12th,
Bilateral.
1941.
Is that both lungs?
No, I think it's more like on the side of
Oh, okay.
the lung. Oh, that's why I looked up because I had double pneumonia as a 3-year-old where both lungs were
Oh.
filling with fluid. Yep. That might be a story for a podcast of madness. I was very close to dying. He had no inclination to follow his father into the army and so decided to join the Royal Air Force, the RAF.
RAF.
In the RAF, he passed all of his exams and then would travel to southern Rhodesia in South Africa to continue training, flying the Tiger Moths. Lee was having his penultimate training session before his first solo flight when he suffered from headaches and blurred vision. A medical officer diagnosed him with failure of his optic nerve,
Oh.
and he was told he would never fly again.
Oh, jeez. That is not what you want when you're just training. Side note, planes had such cooler names back then.
Oh, they so
Tiger
did.
Moth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now we just get stupid numbers
Yeah.
and maybe they call them lightning.
Mhm.
But like the Tiger Moth.
The JSF.
What's one of the ones that we've got in the museum in Canberra? It's not Tiger Moth, but it's got a similar name.
It's probably a Tiger Moth.
Can't remember.
Obviously dejected, he would then move around different flying stations before joining RAF Intelligence.
RAF.
Lee was attached to number 260 Squadron RAF and helped plan missions throughout the North African campaign. It was said, and broadly speaking, Lee was expected to know everything. The Allies advanced through Tobruk, Benghazi, onto the Marble Arch, and onto Tripoli, with the squadron averaging 5 missions a day.
5.
5. Averaging
That's
5
a
a day.
lot.
Average.
Yeah.
So some days might be 2, other days might be 7. Like,
That's a lot of work.
that's a lot of work. They would lend air support and bomb strategic.
Bomb strategic.
Yep, they would lend air support and bomb strategic targets. As the advance continued, Lee was almost killed when the squadron's airfield was bombed. In July of 1943, Lee received his second promotion of the year. And with the end of the Sicilian campaign, Lee would contract malaria for the 6th time in under 12 months
6th.
and was flown to a hospital in Carthage.
I didn't realize malaria was that, like you could just
Prevalent?
get over it, get it again.
Yeah. 6 times in a 12-month period.
Oh, no, thank you.
Not great.
It's too much malaria.
Is malaria not that dangerous then?
I thought it was. A lot of people die of malaria
Yeah.
every year.
Yeah, a lot of people die of malaria every year. More or less, the reason that they talk about it so much from the military standpoint is it makes you 100% combat ineffective.
When he would return to the squadron, they were restless and frustrated with the lack of news from the Eastern Front and the Soviet Union in general. Plus, they weren't getting mail from home, and there was no alcohol.
Well, what's the point of being at war then?
In Italy.
Oh, true.
Unrest spread and threatened to turn into mutiny. Lee was able to talk everyone down and got them to resume their duties. This impressed his commanding officers. So
I'm sure it did.
he just rocked back from hospital like, oi, guys, what is going on?
I love the idea of the commanding officers being like, hey, we need you around to keep the men from getting mad, which is our job, but it's yours now.
I actually didn't go into this at any point, but his like stature was quite imposing because he was 6'5" tall. So 6.
Jeez, and in those days, that's like 8 feet now.
Yeah, and he's like quite
adjusted for inflation.
He's not skinny, but he's not like bulky. He's like just a normal build, quite tall, pretty imposing.
Probably just a healthy looking guy these days.
And you can imagine he would have still had a relatively deep timbre of his voice, even at that age.
Yeah.
So in winter of 1943, the Allies invaded Italy. Lee was swapped to the army during some officer swap scheme. There's some sort of officer swap scheme that happened at that point. I didn't get into it. But this put him in Europe.
Is that like the NBA draft?
Yeah, maybe. Just swapping officers, like whatever.
Got traded.
So anyway, while on leave in Naples.
How many draft picks did the Air Force get for him?
I don't know. Probably should have got quite a few. Boy, he was in Naples, where on leave, where he climbed Mount Vesuvius.
Nice.
Which also erupted 3 days later after his climb. So
really?
It just happened to like, Christopher Lee's here. We'll just wait. He's out of the country. Boom! I'm gonna erupt. So,
I really want to do an episode on Mount Vesuvius.
Yeah, 3 days after he climbed it, it went boom.
I don't think I want to climb a volcano for that exact reason.
No, I'll stay away. Thanks.
White Island scared the bejesus out of me.
Is that the New Zealand one?
Yeah, I watched the documentary on Netflix. No, thank you. I'm not going anywhere near one of those things. Ugh.
Doesn't Australia have like
none?
No, we don't
they
have any.
no active, but they have
active. Yeah,
but they don't. We have the most dormant volcanoes to land mass.
Probably
because New Zealand was formed from volcanic activity. Hawaii
is just a giant volcano.
It's a giant volcano, but of course, it's a matter of number of volcanoes to land mass. So, undersea volcanoes. That'd be an odd stat to compare because of the sheer size of Australia.
Yeah, anyway, I just heard that once before.
Should go to Sicily because they got that big ass one there. That's like,
isn't that Mount Vesuvius?
Pretty sure that's Vesuvius.
It's not Vesuvius. The island of Sicily, which is separate to mainland Italy, it's the bottom of the boot, has its own island, its own active volcano. Yeah, it's the largest active volcano in Europe.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
There's also another story of him almost dying, when during the final assault on Monte Cassino, a plane crashed on takeoff.
Was it his?
Like an Allied plane, yep.
Yeah.
Crashed on takeoff, and he tripped over one of its live bombs.
Tripped over.
Look,
I'll help you guys.
I don't know what was happening, but yeah, he was out there and he just tripped over one of its live bombs. Must have fell off like when it was
How did you not see it?
I don't know. Well, he's 6.5 foot tall. It's all the way down there.
Bombs are like
Yeah, the ones back then weren't particularly large.
I mean, still, it's not going to be like so small you couldn't see it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of context for that situation.
All of this was done with the Long Range Desert Patrol, Sean, which is
the Long Range Desert Patrol. Well, I mean, it was a forefather to lead into the SAS as well.
Thank you very much. Exactly what I was looking for.
SAS.
Precursor to the SAS.
And therefore a precursor to whatever that show was on Channel 7 that I mention as often as possible.
Well, it
SAS
goes
Australia.
That one.
It goes
SAS
a little bit
Australia.
Which is just the Australian SAS.
It goes a little bit deeper with the formation of special forces through a variety of different avenues, most notably in Australia through the creation of Z-Force, but I'm not going to get into that. That's a good one.
Oh, you can now listen to the very long song that my new washing machine plays.
Is it a Samsung? Because ours plays the same song.
So I also got a new washing machine.
How did I see?
I also got a
so
new
long, you have enough time to laugh at it and then stop laughing because it's annoying and then start laughing because it's funny again.
It also changes. It's not the same song.
It's always the same song for us.
Ours change.
I got a new washing machine not that long ago either and a new dryer. And
Welcome to Whitewood's chat on Cheeky Tales.
I can honestly say I picked one specifically that didn't have prepare to bleep me for this, a goddamn f***ing song. Just why?
Just tell me you're done. I don't need a minute plus of beeps.
Because doing the washing sucks. You need something cheery when it's at
Price
the end.
aside, why did you pick one that played a flippin' song?
Okay, so one, I didn't know. Two, it's got this little it's a front loader and it's got a little window that you can push open and you can put stuff in that you've forgotten. It's awesome. Also with smart homes.
I have a front loader, and when I want to put things in that I've forgotten, I press the pause button and press the button that says add more clothes, and then I add more clothes.
Can you open the whole door?
Yes.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Yeah. So actually, while I was away,
And it doesn't play a song.
the guy that I was with on this trip, he's 22, and I started talking to him I was like, one day you'll wake up and you'll think that your washing machine is interesting. And we had like a quick 2-minute conversation. Somebody else heard me talking about it, and they're like, why are you talking about a washing machine? I was like, I was just telling you about my new washing machine and how one day when you get old, you'll wake up and talk about a washing machine. And then they started talking about their washing machine. Then other people at the table started talking about theirs. And we had this like 5-minute conversation. And I looked over at the 22-year-old and he looked real upset. And I'm like, this is your fault and it will happen to you. So I'm glad that this has come up again and 3 grown adult men are talking about washing machines.
I had a similar experience the first time that I went into Bunnings, and it made sense.
Yeah.
I would have been about 19 or 20, and I walked in and I went, oh, I get it now.
Yep.
I get it. I can do this and I can do this. And there's these things. Oh, what's in the fixings aisle? Oh, I can put hooks on this and I can stick this and a new toolbox. I got it. I was like, I get why the ads are so common. Sorry, John.
No, good. I'm happy.
John will talk about Bunnings all day.
Yeah.
Every shop's the same.
There does need to be a compilation episode podcast at the end of each year or the end of each quarter
Of the random topics.
of all the random topics that got brought up throughout
Just the
episodes.
random topic podcast.
Yeah.
So yes, thank you, Sean. That is exactly the information I was looking for. It's the precursor to the SAS.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's what we were talking about.
At some point, he moved from the LRDP to Winston Churchill's even more elite Special Operations Executive, or SOE, whose missions are still classified today. But
I find that very funny that there's still World War II stuff that's classified.
yeah. But their missions involved conducting espionage, sabotage, and reconnaissance in occupied Europe against Axis powers.
Sabotage.
The SOE was informally known as the Ministry for Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Huh.
And I think that needs to be turned into a movie because that sounds awesome.
Yeah, that sounds like the title of a movie that's got
That is the title of a movie.
What?
It could
No,
be.
that's
What
what
it
I'm saying.
means is it should be
That
a
should
title.
be the title of the movie.
Gotcha.
It sounds like a spin-off or a spoof maybe of Kingsman.
Yeah, it sounds like
Or
a
maybe that's
movie
the-
that would have
Yes.
Daniel Craig as like the head guy.
Inspiration for Kingsman. Yeah.
No, it feels like it needs some silly comedic actor trying to do something serious.
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah. Nah, too far. Like
Will
Adam
Ferrell.
Sandler or something like that.
Sandler.
He has chops, man.
Oh, and here's my wife, impeccably beautiful European woman who I would never have a shot with in real life, which is every Adam Sandler movie.
Oh, man. Grown Ups. I know you don't want to talk about Grown Ups because you hate that film, but holy crap. Selma Hayek, man.
Click, man.
Selma.
Who's in Click?
Kate Beckinsale.
It is Kate Beckinsale. But
That's
Selma
it.
Hayek, man.
What's the one? Is it Just Go With It? The one where he's like dating Kate Upton and he's a dentist and the other his secretary I think is Jennifer Aniston. And so he's like choosing between Kate Upton and Jennifer Aniston.
I think that is Just Go With It.
Classic Adam Sandler movie.
And he's done 2 with Drew Barrymore, 50 First Dates, and another one.
The Africa one, Blended.
Yep. I like 50 First Dates. It's a good movie.
I think we found Aaron's
No,
movie
not
knowledge,
me.
which
Not
is just
me.
Adam Sandler movies.
It's Brie.
It's Brie,
It's Brie.
100%. I know she can hear this and she's not come out to defend herself, which is funny. But Brie is obsessed with Adam Sandler movies at the moment. Like Blended and the other one,
Grown Ups.
Grown Ups. I've seen those movies all the way through like 30 times each.
Grown Ups is held up by David Spade.
Here she is. Grown Ups is not held by David Spade. That
It's
is a
absolutely-
wild. Are you watching one right now?
What are you watching? Which one?
Go on the mic.
Hey?
Which one?
On the mic.
Get on the mic.
Blended.
Ah, yes. Okay,
She's
it is
watching Blended right now. Like, that's what I mean. It's not me. look at how red you're
That's
going.
so funny.
Bree's out there praying to her Lord and Savior, Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler, if you listen and hit us up on the socials.
What are the chances? Quite high, actually.
Adam Sandler, if you're out there, feel free to come on and tell us how much of a serious actor you are.
Oh, yeah. Let's dunk on Adam Sandler.
Tell me about your cameo in Brooklyn Nine-Nine and how you literally took the piss out of yourself. And you also made that movie Grown Ups. Oh, yes. And then you made a sequel.
That's amazing. I'm so glad she was watching Blended.
Should we have a beer review intermission?
I mean, we're so far off of John's story right now. We may as well. What's it called again? Bridge Road Brewers Celtic Red Ale.
Celtic Red Ale.
Celtic. It is delicious.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like...
What do you think, John?
Hang on, I need to remember.
That you've got the beer?
I've been talking a lot.
It's like fruity and red, and I love red ales.
Aaron does love red ales.
I can't believe you're watching Blended.
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's good.
Made in Beechworth, Victoria, Bridge Road Brewers make a variety of different beers. However, pretty much anything with red ale in it is up Aaron's alley and much my own. Also a good time of year for it. Not too hot, not too cold. It's perfect for things like red ales. I want something a bit more fuller flavored. There isn't that many out there that aren't really high in alcohol or barrel aged or something as well. So they're often like 8-9%. I'm like, oh, it's a bit much.
Too much, yeah.
This one's spot on. 5.3%, so a touch above average, 1.5 standard drinks in a 355ml can. Get it at your local bottle shop.
Very good.
Thanks to my beer dealer in Morningside for having such an outstanding variety of beers. Feel free to sponsor us and provide us with a 4-pack for each episode.
I need to get over there.
Yes.
What's it called?
It's called My Beer Dealer.
Okay.
And it is outstanding.
That's a free plug.
That's a free plug, My Beer Dealer, please. Anyway, thanks, John.
Back to the story.
Back to the show.
So in the final few months of his service, at this point, Lee spoke fluent French, Italian, and German, among a few other languages. I think it was by the end of his life, I think it was 6 total languages he could speak.
Jesus, 6.
I can barely speak one.
I've been talking about learning Spanish for like 10 years.
As listeners, you can tell we all barely speak one.
Yeah.
we struggle.
I tried to learn Italian, and all I remember is that giornale is newspaper.
That's the word you got?
Well, there's also nonna and nonno.
I at least learnt a little bit of French to understand fruits, vegetables, how to say good morning and stuff like that.
Speciale.
Is that special?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You didn't go with super leggera?
Super leggera. Well, no, because I don't know what that is.
Super light.
Lee was transferred
Scuderia.
to the Central Registry of War Criminals and Security Suspects.
Okay.
You want me to say that again?
Yep.
Central Registry of War Criminals and Security Suspects.
More commonly known as Crowcas.
Yep, Crowcas.
Crowcats.
Where he was tasked with tracking down Nazi war criminals. Of his time with the organisation, Lee said, "We were given dossiers." Sorry, this is a quote. "We were given dossiers of what they'd done and told to find them, interrogate them as much as we could, and hand them over to the appropriate authority."
So this was post-war?
Yes,
Yeah,
post-war. Well, yeah. So yeah, like hunting, the most dangerous game, hunting people down after the war, like Nazi
They're
war criminals.
still doing that now.
Are they?
Yeah.
There's still people getting persecuted for World War II.
Yeah, wow.
I think there was just one earlier last year.
Prosecuted?
What did I say?
Persecuted.
Yep. Prosecuted.
Cool.
Yeah, it was set up by the Supreme Headquarters of the Allied Expeditionary Force. And they published in 1947 a 4-volume list divided into Germans, non-Germans, and 2 supplementary lists of people suspected of committing war crimes between September 1939 and May 1945. And to Allied Nazi hunters, the Crowcas list, because that's like, it's a published list, right, that's known forever, became known to Nazi hunters as the Nazi Hunter's Bible. The list contains over 60,000 people.
Wow.
Not all of them
Bloody
were war
hell.
criminals. Some were simply being sought for interrogation or to act as witnesses. However, within the pages of the Crowcas are the alleged perpetrators of tens of thousands of war crimes. Among those on the list are registry list number 1, Adolf Hitler, wanted for murder in Poland, Czechoslovakia, and Belgium.
All of this, Lee retired from the RAF in 1946 at age 25. So all of this, well, we just covered like the war and all that,
Yeah.
before he was 25.
Crazy. I'd done nothing by the time I was 25.
Yeah.
Actually, I had a degree. That was it.
Yeah, he'd been through like the precursor to the SAS, like hunting war criminals, like
That's wild.
crazy.
Climbed a volcano,
Climbed a volcano.
Survived a
witnessed-
volcano.
survived, witnessed an execution, the last
Yeah.
execution in France.
At this point, he decided to give acting a try.
Acting.
Acting.
Theatre.
I'm going to the theatre.
So just a little bit more on his personal life before we get into his acting roles.
I love how he just introduced that he's going to be an actor.
Yeah.
Also, let's not talk about that now and go over some other stuff.
This is the point where he decided to do it, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of acting stuff to go through, so I'm going to cover that in one chunk.
All right. I'm with you now.
So during the 1950s, Lee was engaged to Countess Henrietta Ewa Agnes von Rosen,
Dope name.
whom he met at a nightclub in Stockholm.
Nice.
Yeah. The old father-in-law-to-be was a bit demanding, getting the couple to delay a wedding a year so he could get his London-based friends to interview Lee. Also hiring private
interview
him. Also hiring private detectives to investigate him. And he asked Lee to provide references.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like that. As much as it's
To which
overbearing.
he did. He got like an actor, a director, and I think there was a London police officer he got to, as a reference. One final test, Lee had to get permission from the King of Sweden to marry his bride-to-be. Because the Count and the Countess, they were from Sweden. So,
but you have, does the king know them?
I'd say so, being that they were like nobility. In a
Okay.
sense.
It just seems weird.
Yeah. He had to get
did this guy just not want him to marry his daughter?
He did not want him to marry his daughter.
Wild.
But he did get the blessing from the King of Sweden, as he had met him.
I'm sure the king's like, yeah, whatever.
Well, he had actually met him personally a few years ago prior.
Oh, okay.
For some acting.
Right. Okay.
So he actually, met him.
Can you imagine going up to King Charles and being like, hey, this girl I want to marry is Australian. That's technically your problem.
Yeah. And
Can I marry her?
Her father wants me to get your blessing.
Yeah. He'd be like, okay, whatever.
However, shortly before the wedding, Lee called it off.
After all that,
he had voiced concerns that his financial insecurity in his chosen profession meant that the Countess deserved better.
yeah, that feels like a cop-out.
The Countess understood this and they departed on amicable terms.
That's such a cop-out.
He did, however, marry in March of 1961 to a former Danish, she wasn't former Danish, she was a Danish former model, Birgit Kronke. And they had a daughter in 1963.
Birgit Kronke.
Birgit, B-I-R, Birgit.
Okay.
Kronke. Sean, do you want to?
I'm trying. There's not a lot of information.
Yeah. Well, just pronunciation. Do you have moving on. So now let's go over his acting chops.
Acting
boy. He was entered in the Guinness Book of World Records in 2007 for most screen credits.
I was about to say, for what? Most acting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Having appeared in 244 films and TV movies. 244 film and TV movies by that point in his career. His current IMDb credits sits at 287 with one upcoming.
What's the one upcoming?
It was a voiceover for something.
Also did some video games.
There you go.
Yes, majority of Lord of the Rings video games.
Better.
It was like the Lego Lord of the Rings I've seen. And
Even better.
which one?
He was in Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, was he?
My
Sean's
favorite series of video games.
Yeah, nice.
He played Diz.
Cool.
In Kingdom Hearts 2.
Great name.
That would be part of the 287 that's currently sitting at IMDb.
Yeah.
He also at one point held the record for tallest leading actor. As I said, 6'5".
What an oddly specific record.
And for starring in the most films with a sword fight at 17.
Now that's specific.
Like at 17.
I would say
At
niche.
17 films, not
I
at the age of
love
17.
that.
Yeah.
I love that that's even something somebody thought to record.
There's probably a reason why he's in so many sword fighting films.
Probably because he's a sword fighter.
I'll cover it later, but he apparently was a world champion fencer.
There you go.
Imagine how hard it would be to fence against him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of reach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Some of his most well-known roles, which seem to include a lot of villains, include Count Dooku or Darth Tyrannus from the Star Wars prequel trilogy.
Okay.
Next, we have Saruman the White in 5 of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings movies, including the prequel Hobbit trilogy. He was actually a major Tolkien fan, and apparently he would read The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings trilogy once a year for the majority of his life.
That's a lot of reading.
Yeah, and he would read it every year. He's also the only member of the cast to have met Tolkien in person.
Huh.
Randomly running into him in a pub, and allegedly he totally fanboyed out.
Yeah, wouldn't you?
Probably.
If you read the book every year, you'd freak out.
Tolkien also gave him his blessing to play Gandalf in any future
I thought you were
Lord
going to
of the
say to
Rings.
marry someone
No,
again.
no, to play Gandalf in future Lord of the Rings movies. When Lee did hear Hollywood was finally going to make the Lord of the Rings trilogy, he took a role in the terrible 1997 TV series The New Adventures of Robin Hood as a wizard, specifically so he had evidence of his ability to play a wizard.
Nice. That's smart.
When he heard that Peter Jackson was to direct, he sent Jackson a personal letter requesting to be in the movies, along with a photo of himself dressed as a wizard.
Dear Peter, can I please be wizard?
Yeah.
Look at a photo of me as wizard.
I'm guessing he's asking to play as Gandalf.
I'm imagining in my head that it's like a Halloween costume.
Yeah,
so
right.
it's like kind of bad.
Like the blue with the yellow
He's got like
stars.
a cane or something.
Yeah.
He's like, ah.
Just imagine one of those home field videos which starts with him walking backwards from the camera after he pushes the button like, hello, my name is Sir Christopher Lee. I would like to play wizard.
not character
That's not
name.
a bad
just
impersonation,
wizard.
actually. That was pretty.
It's not bad.
It's pretty good.
I have experience as wizard. You can see my reel. It's attached.
I really like Tolkien. I met him once, you know.
He said that I could be Gandalf. And I think
I'd be leading with that. I said I met Tolkien, and he said I could play Gandalf. Gandalf.
Ready? Watch this. Ready?
You shall not pass.
Damn it. And trips over or something.
you shall pass. Whoops. Pass.
You shall not proceed. Oh, sorry, that's not the right line.
Line. Oh, yes. And
You're making fun of him.
The man. His missus like,
you shall not pass.
Wait, in a Danish accent.
I love how you're making fun of him. The man was we just went over what he did during the war. The man's a legend.
Someone talk about the war. Don't talk about the war.
In summary, please take me as Gandalf.
So yes, I'm assuming he wanted to play Gandalf, but at this point in his career, he'd been pretty much typecast as a villain, and I personally think that it was the right casting to cast him as Saruman.
Oh, he's a pretty good villain.
Yeah. Do you reckon he was annoyed the whole time?
No, he loved it.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
The guy that played Gandalf was the guy that played Dumbledore first, right?
Nope.
The second Dumbledore.
No.
Gandalf is Magneto.
Yes.
Oh, yep.
Ian McKellen.
Ian McKellen. Ian McKellen.
Yep.
Michael Gambon played Dumbledore second, and Richard Harris played Dumbledore first.
Yep, I'm on board again.
Ian McKellen, different person. Best friends with Patrick Stewart.
There is a pretty funny story from the set here too. Spoiler alert for Return of the King here, by the way, so skip forward another minute if you don't want to hear the ending of a 20-year-old movie. What?
I just love the sass. If you don't want to hear the ending of a 20-year-old movie, gosh.
You should have watched it by now. During his death scene in Return, which is only on the extended cut, director Peter Jackson was describing to him what the sound of people being stabbed in the back should make. Lee responded that he had seen people be stabbed in the back and knew exactly what sound they made.
And the answer is a Wilhelm scream. That needs to be in every podcast from now on.
So apparently he knew exactly, and Peter Jackson was like, okay, you obviously know what you're talking about, so you just do what you need to do.
I love it when people do that in situations.
Yeah.
I had a mate do that in the army once. His name was Broadfoot, not important. And he was in the British Army and he was in the Falklands and various other places. And when he transferred to the Australian Army, he got reduced in rank considerably just for position stuff. One day they're like, we're going to the grenade range, the foreign people are going. And Broady's like, I'm not going. And they're like, no, you're going to the grenade range. He goes, I'm not going to the grenade range and throwing a grenade at a stick in the ground. They're like, Bombay Broadfoot, you go into the grenade range. And in front of like 100 people, he goes, have you ever thrown a grenade at a person and watched it kill them? And the officer just stared at him and he goes, that's what I thought. And then folded his arms. Never saw him go to the grenade range.
Jeez.
He was a tough dude, man. He was great. Policeman now.
Cool.
Yeah, in South Australia. So not here.
Just dossing him. Another villain, Francisco Scaramanga. Do you know who that is?
Oh,
From James Bond.
yeah.
The man with the golden gun.
It is, yeah.
He played the villain assassin who owned the golden gun and is regarded as one of the best Bond villains of all time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Also, remember, he was related to James Bond creator Ian Fleming, and Lee was one of Fleming's first choices.
Actually, Ian said that I could be James.
Well, he was Ian Fleming's, like, one of his first choices to play Bond during due to his World War II and SOE experiences.
Of course he was.
Yep.
Actually, I think you'll find James Bond was written about me.
Well, that was potentially another topic for me to do is all the people that is speculated James Bond is based on.
Cool.
So that could be an upcoming podcast.
I love the quote about playing Francisco Scaramanga. It's fantastic.
What?
He said of the character of Francisco Scaramanga, of which he played, Lee said of his performance, in Fleming's novels, he's just a West Indian thug, but in the films, he's charming, elegant, amusing, and lethal. I played him like the dark side of Bond.
Ooh.
That's great.
Awesome.
That's a great quote.
Another character, he played Dracula. He first played Dracula in Horror of Dracula in 1958.
That's one film.
The role evolved into his best known in show business as it spawned several sequels.
Several.
From 1966 to 1976.
Sure didn't like that.
Lee would play the blood-sucking vampire 7 more times, with the last being Dracula and Son in 1976.
I want to suck your blood.
Blah. I don't say blah.
I want to be a wizard.
Oh, crap. Wrong line. I can't get rid of this accent.
He like walks back from the camera dressed as a wizard and his fangs fall out like, oh shit.
This is so on point for what I'm about.
A visit.
This is so on point for what I'm about to say next. You're making like what you're saying.
Yes.
During his stint, he got tired of playing Dracula and feeling that the movies had gotten subpar. Lee tried to quit Hammer Films, who were the studios making these ones. But the studio executives guilted him into returning by stressing out how many people would be out of work if Lee stops churning out hits. Lee agreed to
You know how many people you'll make poor?
Yeah. Lee agreed to star in the 1966 Dracula Prince of Darkness. He felt the script was so awful and he stubbornly refused to say any of the dialogue. Hammer decided that it was far more important to have a mute Lee as the star as opposed to anyone else, and thus had Dracula hiss and yell throughout the film. So he never said any lines.
Amazing.
He just yelled and
hated
hissed.
the script so much.
He refused to say it.
They rewrote it to just make him hiss and yell.
That's like in Star Wars. That's like in Star Wars, the actor that played Darth Vader. In the second film, he'd realised once he'd found out that they weren't using his voice, so he just used to shout random stuff in the suit because he's like, well, they're not going to use my voice anyway. So he would just yell shit. And poor old Mark Hamill would have to make it up. He would act at nothing. Oh,
Brilliant. Other villainous roles include Fu Manchu,
Nice.
as mentioned before, Rasputin.
Probably not problematic at all. Fu Manchu.
Actually, you need to look up a photo like you could never tell.
Okay.
You mean because he's not Asian?
Yes.
yellow face?
Lord Summer Isle of the Wicker Man, Mephistopheles, even Death, and Rochefort of the Three Musketeers, to which his portrayal was so popular, the character now appears with an eye patch, even though it wasn't in the books. Lee introduced the look.
That's pretty cool to like forever alter the way a character appears.
Yeah, well, mate, what's his name? Samuel L. Jackson's kind of done that with Nick Fury.
Oh, yeah.
Originally, Nick Fury was a white dude. Now, in everything, he's a black man.
Okay.
Which is
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Also, Snakes on a Plane is entirely held up by him.
Not seen that movie.
You should.
You should.
It's a wild ride.
It's good.
While filming a sword fight, we're going into the swords here.
Okay.
I think this is where I get into the fencing thing. While filming a sword fight with a drunken Errol Flynn during the filming of The Dark Avengers in 1955, Flynn accidentally cut Lee's hand so badly his finger nearly came off and was permanently injured.
Oh.
Later, Lee cut off Finn's wig while Finn was still wearing it.
Oh.
Flynn stormed off set and refused to come out of his trailer until Lee claimed it was an accident. Just something pretty funny. Speaking of sword
Claimed
fights.
it was an accident.
Yep.
Not apologised.
No, claimed. Speaking of sword fights, Lee was apparently a world champion fencer.
Yep.
Which is why I believe Count Dooku's lightsaber hilt is curved, because it was coming from his fencing
Yeah, right.
experience.
That's cool.
Wait, are they curved?
Yeah, his
Only
one is
his.
curved.
Only
Only
his
his
is
No,
one.
no, no. For a fencing
Are they? Yes.
sword.
Yeah, they.
So there are three.
So you have like a basic one, which is like a normal straight one, and then you have like a little one, and then it's almost like a 45-degree angle.
Yeah, right.
So there's multiple types of fencing swords, right? For those that have looked it up, if you've never looked it up, there's the epi. I say it a little bit wrong. Or épée. There's the foil,
épée, yeah.
and then there's a fencing saber as well. It's not so much that they're necessarily super curved, but yeah, a few of them have like a sort of
Little dog leg.
it's like almost like a pistol shaped handle, so they sort of hold it kind of like I suppose you could say they kind of hold it like a syringe.
Yeah.
Like with their fingers split so that they don't have to bend their wrist quite as far forward. Like they can have it point, because the whole idea,
Yeah, right.
sabers and épées
I just always thought it was like a straight bar. Yeah, right. There you go.
yeah, and then the sabers again. And sabers come from horse swords. From cavalry swords, which did have a curved blade, so that it was easier to swing downward, because once again you didn't have to over rotate the sword as far.
Yeah, right.
Fun facts: even modern decorative cavalry sabers still have that shaped handle. For instance, Australian Army parade swords in Armoured Corps, which is cavalry, nursing and aviation corps, they carry a cavalry style saber, and it's a lot more awkward for them to carry it on parade because they have to hold it like this.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
There you go.
I like he's doing hand actions for an audio only podcast.
Oh, yeah, right. I deserve that.
In October of 2009, Lee was made a Knight Commander of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire
Dope.
by then Prince of Wales, Charles.
Oh, Charlie.
It was for his services to drama and charity.
Cool.
Lee was also a big metal fan.
He loved his alloys.
No, the music metal.
Oh.
But, and he released his first full heavy metal album in 2010 at the age of 88.
Wow.
He has.
Titled
That's cool.
Charlemagne by the Sword and the Cross, which won the Spirit of Metal Award in the 2010 Metal Hammer Golden God ceremony. He made a metal Christmas album in 2012 and was the oldest metal performer and also the oldest musician to ever hit the Billboard music charts.
That's pretty cool.
Christopher Lee's amazing...
After all that other stuff.
Yep. So Christopher Lee's amazing life ended on June 7th, 2015 at Chelsea and Westminster Hospital after being admitted for respiratory problems and heart failure. This was just after his 93rd birthday. He was honoured at the 88th Academy Awards in 2016 in the annual memorial section.
Wow.
And that, boy, is the episode.
What a life. What a life.
I know.
Like,
to do all that and then at
Yeah.
88 go, I'm going to release a metal album.
Yeah.
And I listened to the song.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty good.
yeah.
It's almost like spoken word poetry in his rather specific voice.
I
actually,
killed the Saxon man.
It's pretty good.
We'll listen to it after the episode.
All right. Good stuff.
Link it in the
Yeah.
in the
Let's add
Yeah.
that to the link tree.
We haven't put something in the link tree for a long time, so that'll be
Yep.
definitely in the link tree.
Spotify link to the album.
But that is the story of Christopher Lee. I first come across it when I just randomly saw something like he saw the last public execution by guillotine. I went,
Huh?
and then just started looking into it and went, holy crap, this dude's done some stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. That's an awesome life to do all that.
Yeah.
And like two very different portions of his life too, like army life and then actor. Like that's cool.
So thanks for listening, everyone. You can find us at all your popular podcast locations. Hopefully you've already found that. But you can also find us on socials where we'll be posting supplementary content, photos, obviously, of some Christopher Lee's roles. The link tree will be there for his metal album. So if you can give us a like, give us a share, get us out by word of mouth, that'll help us grow. We are always looking to grow our listeners and let more people hear the amazing stories of like Sir Christopher Lee's or other interesting stories we tell. We want to get them into the people's ear holes.
Get them in your ear holes.
Oh, I don't like.
You know what?
ear holes. Get the podcast in your ear holes.
If you have ear holes, listen to Cheeky Tales.
We
Open
have-
your ear holes.
We haven't quite got a tagline yet, and like get it in your ear hole feels a bit like
Cheeky Tales. Cram it down your ear hole.
yeah, cram it up your cram hole.
But yeah, if you could give us a like on the socials, there will be photos there at Cheeky Tales Pod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Coming soon to OnlyFans.
Boo! Cut it.
We'll be back in 2 weeks' time with you, boy. You have a story to tell?
I do, and this week it's not a mystery.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like mystery ones.
I like mystery ones, but there's only so many.
I know. I'm constantly searching for mystery-based ones.
Yeah. Anyway, it's not a mystery, but it is boat related.
Is it?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Hitting another one of our favorite topics.
Boats.
Yeah, well, we hit World War II in this one.
And
Yeah.
World War II.
Yeah.
By association, World War II boats and space.
Yep. That's our favorite 3.
Nice.
And,
Anyway,
and medley episodes.
thanks for listening. Thanks for listening, boy. Thanks for listening, listeners. Thanks for
Thank
producing, Sean.
Yes.
And
Good
we'll
night,
be
everyone.
back in a fortnight.
Back in a fortnight.
Good night.
And we're back in a fortnight. Welcome back to Cheeky Tales.
We're banking them.
Guess who's back?
Back again.
Back again.
Cheeky's back.
Please tell a friend.
Via Instagram.
Somebody stop talking so I can cut.
Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back?
All right. Okay, we're cutting.
No.